All right, what's going on? Good people, little Baltimore Ravens update here. I have been quiet since all of the craziness has been happening around the postponement of the game and all of the people on the list is what I guess we'll call it is the list. I want to make this relatively quick because I do want to go watch the Sunday night football game, Bears and the Packers. Should be an interesting one. Hoping for the Bears upset, but nonetheless, give you a little timeline of when we're doing this video here. But I wanted to give a little update on the starting depth chart for the Ravens, simply because I haven't heard a lot of people talk about the depth chart and who's going to be starting, and I was curious of it. So I was like, why not just take a look together as the Ravens and the Steelers are set to play on Tuesday at 8 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. So a little Tuesday night football. Interesting. Very interesting. Very something that doesn't happen very often. I think it's happened, twice? It happened once earlier this year and then way back when, in like the early 2000s or something like that. It happened again. So should be very interesting. Should be a very interesting night, kind of keep everybody busy on a Tuesday night, which is not too often. But I don't have anything to say about Week 12 thus far. It's been kind of interesting. I think some of the I was hoping for some AFC teams to lose. It didn't really go as planned. It was like this close to a lot of them. With the Bills were one of them. The Browns were another one that I was kind of hoping for a loss from. Didn't get it, but nonetheless, some of the other teams lost. The Raiders lost, so that was interesting. But as far as this, let's jump into this the list of players that cannot play, and not talking about the injury list real quick. So I'm gonna pop this up real quick. So hopefully, there we go. It's a little bit easier to see there. Hopefully we can see the amount of players. Now, Mark Andrews has been added to this list. So this list is not entirely up to date, but Mark Andrews has been added to this list. So, I mean, you got Calais Campbell, Morgan Cox, who is a long snapper, starting running back J.K. Dobbins, who is coming into his own, Khalil Dorsey, the corner. I know Parnell McPhee and Jalen Ferguson, two of our outside linebackers, DJ Fluker, a guard, Will Holden, a guard. Of course, Mark Ingram, one of the, ones in the rotation. Lamar Jackson, one of the more unfortunate ones. All of them are unfortunate, of course. Hopefully these guys can get well soon, because it's one of those situations, man. It's so tough. It's so tough because I think a lot of these guys, like a lot of people, try to attribute it to carelessness and they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. But at the same time, like, I think even with everybody in everyday life, like, think about it. We all get comfortable. We got coworkers we're comfortable around, friends we're comfortable around, and we don't know where they've been. We don't know where they've been. If I could say it in English, we don't know where they've been. So it's like you get comfortable, you're around them. All I got to do is come right home, then gave it to my parents, then go to, like that's all you got to do. It's that quick. And I mean, I think we've seen really kind of an outbreak more so throughout the entire NFL. Is what I've seen. I mean, everybody. I mean, of course, the Ravens got hit the hardest with starting with the strength and conditioning coach, and then going from. I mean, it seems like almost everybody. What's the list at 21? I think now, if I'm not mistaken. And just like you get comfortable, you take your mask off for a second, bing bang boom, there you go. So and I think that's kind of what happened with all these guys. Back to, I mean, and of course, back to this list. Of course, everybody on this list we hope gets well soon. Doesn't, their family's not affected by it. Other friends aren't affected by it, colleagues or anything else. Besides the people on this list, we hope this list doesn't go up anymore, because it's been like every day there's a new one or two or three. And then of course, it's hit the rest of the NFL too, and caused this game to be postponed a couple of times. But I mean, just back to the list real quick with Justin Metabike, the rookie D tackle, Imam Marshall, Pernell McPhee, Trace McSorley, Patrick McCary, who has been starting at center recently. Patrick Ricard, the starting fullback. That's an interesting one that I wonder what they're going to do in terms of that. Matt Skura, who was a starting center, 2 games ago, if I'm not mistaken. Jahad Ward, Broderick Washington, Brandon Williams, the another decent two right there, defensive line hits, and then Jahad Ward, another decent. I think he was actually one of the guys I think we as Ravens fans were expecting to step up, but he won't get to in at least this game. And then Tavon Young too. So, and he had actually been on IR. He's been on IR for 3-4 weeks now, maybe even longer than that. He's been on IR for pretty much most of the year. This season has went by kind of fast, but I mean, there's so many players here, so many key players, and that's why I wanted to kind of look at um, the lineup for the Ravens because I was curious. I've been sitting here, curious myself, like who is starting for this team? Because like it was just one of those situations where you're like, you know, who is it going to be? Who's it going to be that's starting for this team, considering all the things going on with of course everything we see in this world right now with everything going on. But looking at it, you got RG3 and Gus and Justice Hill as well. So Justice Hill and Gus going to be probably splitting carries. I think Gus is probably going to get the most of them. Justice is going to kind of spell them out in that speed role. I'm and this is why this is one of the weird reasons why I'm kind of okay with having RG3 and Gus play in this one and start in this one is because like this is the same tandem that played against this same defense last year, and did a pretty good job against them, pretty much destroyed them. That's why I guess Ravens fans are a little bit more confident in it, and then even coming down here, I'll get to the receivers here in a second, but coming down here, of course, Mark Andrews is gone, Nick Boyle is gone, so it's probably going to be Luke Wilson coming in at the tight end position. But looking at the line, I mean, I know it's been makeshift all year long. Like this line has been makeshift all year long. But if you look at the line with Orlando Brown at left tackle, Ben Powers, who has had a lot of experience in this offense, Bradley Bozeman has had a lot of experience in this offense, Tristan Colon Castillo. Not that's the one guy I haven't seen a lot of, and I'm assuming they're probably going to put Jake Rogers at the right tackle. So I mean, some of the inexperience I think would be Jake Rogers and Tristan here at center would be the two more inexperienced guys. But the good part about it is, and one of the biggest differences I noticed between and Willie Snead was a new one too. If we look at the receivers, Willie Snead was a new one who is also out for the game for being on that list. But one of the things that I think is in our favor as far as Ravens fans more than the Broncos. Of course, the Broncos got, I think, the absolute short end of the stick with not having any quarterback that has taken NFL reps or even practiced in an NFL practice field or anything like that. They got the short end of the stick having to start who they had to start, today, of course. And, I'm blanking on his name right now, but shout out to him though for giving it a go. Cause that's a tough ask, and definitely, I wish they could have done a little better or been able to make some more adjustments, but I know that's a one of the more tough situations I think throughout the entire league we'll probably see all year. But I mean, one of the big things for the Ravens that puts them in a better position is they're going from Lamar to almost like a slower Lamar, right? So they're going from Lamar, who of course is one of the fastest players in the league, can run, can throw, and the offense that's tailor-made for him, to a backup that plays similarly to him, right? RG3, of course, not as fast, but at the same time, RG3 does still have some speed. He's just not Lamar Jackson fast. Nobody's Lamar Jackson fast. So that comes into play with him being able to run, of course, the zone read scheme, run the option plays, and then you got Gus, who's a good pretty much every down back. Justice Hill can bring a little speed into the game as well. So, I mean, those two guys, I think, have a pretty good chemistry. They played together. Of course, last year, week 17, when they got that win to make us 12 and not 12 and 4, 14 and 2. So, I mean, I'm confident in those two. And the line, like I said, doesn't look terrible to me. I'm not afraid of this offensive line as much as I thought I would be. With Tyree Phillips missing, of course, he's been missing for a couple of weeks, but the second round, tackle that we drafted. Of course, Ronnie Stanley missing. I was like, oh man, both of our centers missing with Matt Skira and Patrick McCarry. I thought that was going to be a big deal, but now when you look at it, I mean, you got 2 points of inexperience that will have to just get push their way into the mold and into their own rhythm. Wide receivers, excuse me. Wide receivers, actually not too bad with Marquise Brown, Devin Duvernay, Dez Bryant, James Prochet, who I think will be key in this game as far as his hands coming into play. Because Willie Snead, I think we lost, maybe besides Dez, we lost our best pass catcher in Willie Snead, and I think Prochet will probably be able to really show off those hands in this game. And I'm wondering how much they're going to have RG3 throw the ball, but I think having a sure-handed guy like Prochet is good. Of course, you got Boykin, who I wouldn't be surprised if they made some sort of like crazy switch and had him line up more inside as like more of a makeshift tight end, alongside of Luke Wilson to use his size. All right, to the defense. To the defense, which actually, it's weird. I think looking at it, when you look at it, I'm more confident in it the more I look at it, as far as offensively, because defensively I think I was fine. Offensively was where I was like, not that I'm concerned, but I was like, what about the line? Like, we're missing McCoy, we're missing Phillips, we're missing Stanley, we're missing Skirrell, we're missing. I mean, that's a whole line. That's a whole line right there. And McCoy, that's 5 offensive linemen. That's an entire offensive line right there. But missing 21 players is tough, right? So you got to kind of like, on the surface, you're like, oh, the Ravens are missing 21 players. How are they going to make this up? But I mean, I think offensively it doesn't look as bad as it should. I think RG3 can make some throws, and I think he's definitely going to use Dez. I think they're going to try to make some short passes. This will be a huge test to see not only how good Marquise Brown is, but it'll be a huge test to see what Greg Roman can really do. We complained about Greg Roman. This is the test for Greg Roman. Definitely. If there's any test for Greg Roman, and not even win or lose, this is the test for Greg Roman to see. Let's see what you can really do. Let's see what you can really scheme up. Because of course last year with the Chiefs, I think how many games did Patrick Mahomes miss? 2, and I think they won at least one of those games if I'm not mistaken with the dislocated knee. So I mean, if the Ravens can pull this one off, it'll be huge. It'll be like, and if they lose, it's like, well, we're missing 21 players. So it's like, but I mean, of course, I want to see him win. I'm gonna be cheering for him like the time we played the Steelers with Ryan Mallett and won the game. That's what I'm gonna be feeling like tomorrow. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping for that type of upset. But to the defense, and then I'll be out of your way because I definitely want to go watch this Sunday night game. To the defense, Derek Wolfe, who I hope actually does play. Obviously, him being questionable is not the greatest thing. But Derek Wolfe, who's been really good in run defense lately too. So that I think him being a veteran presence, that's good to see on defense. Justin Ellis, Jelly, I think this is a good step up type game for Jelly. I'm wondering what they're going to do with some of the other nose tackles. I know the Ravens play 3-4, but you got to have backup nose tackle, especially for a guy as big as Justin Ellis is. That dude's friggin' huge. Not sure what they're going to do at the other DN spot because, I mean, literally everybody's out. So that would probably be, I'm not certain at all what they're going to do. If they're going to put maybe a pass rushing linebacker there or something like that. Of course, you got Unique. I know he technically plays linebacker, but I mean, you practically can say he can play left or right end. So that'll probably be Unique and Ngakwe. So Unique, Jelly, Derek Wolfe, I think is what we'll see there. Tyus Bowser coming off as the edge rusher, which is good. Matt Judon, of course, is out too. I don't know if I mentioned him, but Judon's out. So Tyus Bowser, who I think has been playing relatively well this season. I hope to see some bright spots from him. LJ Ford, the one good thing is our middle linebackers have been fine, and they've lasted through this whole, the whole issues we've had. So, I mean, you got Pat Queen, of course. Chris Board's been playing relatively well. Jalen Ferguson was a guy who, of course, he's on the list too. Jalen Ferguson was a guy who I think had been kind of coming to his own a little bit. So that kind of sucks that he's not going to be there. But I think Chris Board can step up. But I mean, LJ Ford and Patrick Queen, definitely, I'm completely fine with that. Tyus Bowser, completely fine with him on the outside. Yannick Ngakoue playing, and they may even put Chris Board or Malik Harrison on the outside and make them kind of do some other things. But and plus Patrick Queen is so fast, I think that plays into our favor as well. I think defensively we'll be fine because we finally got pretty much all of our corners. Jimmy Smith's questionable. I hope he plays. I really think the defense changes when Jimmy Smith is not on the field. So I think Jimmy Smith not has to play, but I definitely want to see Jimmy Smith play. Which I don't. I'm not mistaken. Okay, Tramon Williams is there. So I mean, there's plenty of depth. I feel like in a way. I mean, of course, Tavon's been hurt pretty much the whole year. Khalil Dorsey's been hurt for a good part of the year. But I mean, when you look at the secondary with Marlon, Jimmy, Tramon, Marcus, I mean that's four I think pretty solid corners right there. Hopefully Devontae Harris can do something as well. I mean, I think that'll be pretty good. I mean, I think you can put Levine in there to play some little exotic type stuff because he's always. I mean, he's like the Swiss Army knife. He does everything, special teams, linebacker at times. I mean, he's done it all. So, I mean, and I think we'll be good on the back end with Chuck and Deshaun. So, I mean, really, it's going to be tough, especially playing against an undefeated team. But I don't think it's, like, impossible. I don't see it being impossible. I want to see RG3 and Gus do what they did last time, let Gus run, because Gus, I mean, he licks his chops for the Steelers, I feel like. I don't know what it is about Gus and the Steelers, but he loves to play the Steelers, and he typically plays well. I think he had 87 yards the last time. Definitely was over 100 that time in Week 17. So, I mean, Gus tends to play well against the Steelers if he doesn't play well any other time, which typically he does play well. So, I mean, I trust Gus back there. And I think, like I said before, it's be a good time for Greg Roman to scheme up some stuff to get Hollywood involved. Some quick stuff, like just because RG3 is not used to being in the starting lineup now. RG3 is no bum, of course. So RG3 is, former rookie of the year, former second overall pick. So I mean, RG3 is no bum, and this is kind of, RG3 has a lot to prove, I think, still to this day. RG3 is still like, hey, I want to be starting again, and I think RG3 believes in himself in that way. So this could be a huge for RG3, absolutely huge for RG3, if he can pull it off. So I mean, get some quick throws to Hollywood. Every time Duvernay touches the freaking football, like it's like, he's got I mean, every time he touches the football, he's fast. I think he's actually kind of sneaky fast. Not a guy that everybody talks about as a speedster, I don't think, in terms of like in the media, in terms of people talking about fast guys in the NFL. I think Duvernay is one of those really fast guys that really gets overlooked. Prochet in those hands, he's safe on the punt returns. So Prochet, I think he's going to be he made a good catch in the last game against the Titans, so I think he's going to be big, and this could be his kind of breakout game. Because I expect to see Prochet more than Miles Boykin, to be honest. I expected to see more of Hollywood, Devin, Dez, and Prochet as the kind of four that they run with. Of course, Miles will get in, but I think I expect to see more of those four than I do Miles Boykin. And I want to see a big game from Dez too. I want Dez to be the guy that RG3 can lean on, because I don't think last year, I'm not mistaken, during that game, because RG3 did throw a pick or two in that game, but I don't think RG3 had a guy he could lean on like Dez. I mean, Dez, and we talked about it kind of in that last game against the Titans. You still got to respect Dez because he's freaking Dez. It's kind of like if you brought Randy Moss out of retirement. I don't care if he's lost a step because he hasn't played in a couple of years. He's Randy freaking Moss. You're going to respect him. So same thing with Dez. I think Dez is the same way. I mean, and Dez might actually be rejuvenated. You take a couple of years off of football but still train, you might be feeling good. You're not as hurt anymore. You're not as sore anymore. I mean, that might have been the perfect scenario for Dez. Of course, had to come back from a Achilles injury too, and he's been, I think, working his butt off since that time. But I mean, I'm excited. This is going to be interesting game. Let's look at the Ravens depth chart for this upcoming Steelers game, which should be. I think it should be a good one. I really do. I think it should. I think it's going to be better than people think it's going to be. Steelers fans are like, oh, it's going to be a blowout. It's going to be this, it's going to be that. But I think it's going to be a good game. The last time RG3 and Gus played together against the Steelers, it was a good game, and I expect it to be a good game this time. And if it ain't, we'll blame it on 21 players being missing, I guess. But I think it's going to be a good game. I don't think you can ever count out the Ravens versus the Steelers or the Steelers versus the Ravens, right? Whether there's injuries on both sides. Duck Hodges took us to a freaking looking at the active roster here. Duck Hodges took us to overtime last year or something, or was it Mason Rudolph? One of them. We went in overtime with the Steelers last year. It's not like we're acting like it's not going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game because the defense is going to keep it in it. Keep their teams in it as long as as long as this rivalry happens. It's going to be defense first, and then the rest comes second. So I'm trying to look for any other names that I'm not used to seeing, or like that maybe a little surprising. Still pretty cool to see Dez out there. Yeah, definitely happy for him. But once again, man, definitely just hoping that everybody gets well soon, and this of course doesn't affect anybody's families. That's the first and foremost most important thing that I want to see from all of this is that everybody gets well soon. Hopefully the the typical 2 weeks that you have to deal with it, and hopefully nobody has any lingering effects, because of course this has been one of those things where it has lingering effects after the fact. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen with anybody who gets it from now on, but just in general with the guys on this list, and of course everybody in this world, man. Because it's been crazy. It's been a crazy year. And I think it was just a matter of time in terms of the NFL, just because of all the travel. You don't know where people are going after they leave the facility. When they come into the facility, I get comfortable with you. Hey, what's up, man? I'm gonna talk to you. I ain't got my mask on or whatever. And then you never know. Bing, bang, boom, and then there's an outbreak. So see what happens. I never realized that Willie Snead returned punts. Did anybody else? Maybe it was just me. I never realized Willie Snead returned punts. He's sneaky. That man's sneaky out here. But I don't see anybody that I haven't really seen on the team here, because there's no practice squad listed. Because I think literally every practice squad member is probably on the main 53 right now. Ben Bredesen, I've heard of him though. I haven't really seen him much, but I've heard of him. So of course Mark Andrews is the only one that got to be X'd out there. But other than that, I'm interested. I'm interested to see what we'll see here. Definitely, I'm definitely interested to see how this game will go. I'm excited. It's Ravens Steelers. It's always exciting. It's always fun. Ravens Steelers is. If the Ravens, the time that the Ravens went 4-10, or what was it? Year 6-10, I think it was. I was still excited for Ravens Steelers both times. So I'm excited. Frustrated don't have the last one went. But if we can escape here, and Lamar could be back by the Dallas game, which means a lot of people could be back by the Dallas game, because there's only been a couple of guys who have been positive since Lamar, which Mark Andrews was one, Willie Snead was one. So that kind of that hurts, but it all depends on symptoms and all that too. Showing that you have it and all of that too. So that kind of comes into play, because if you show that you have it, it's 10 days. If you don't show that you have it, it's 5 days. So we'll see. But nonetheless, definitely excited. I'll be back for a little quick wrap up of the Tuesday night game after the Tuesday night game. Whether I'm upset or I'm happy, I'll be here. Okay. But nonetheless, picks will be coming. They may be a little bit later this week, just because there's a Tuesday night game. So they may be a little bit later this week, maybe on a Wednesday, possibly. If I'm not mistaken, but nonetheless, should be a good one. Should be fun. Enjoy your guys' night. Enjoy this Sunday night football game. Enjoy the Monday night football game. Enjoy the Tuesday night football game. And should definitely be fun. And also the Cowboys game is moved to Monday, in case you don't know. In case you're like, whoa, what happened to the Thursday night Cowboys game? But I'm sure everybody knows by now. So that should be interesting too. But nonetheless, see you guys on the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to also, give us a like if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe. If you're listening, share it, heart it. What do you do? What do you do when you listen to stuff? Do you heart it? Do you share it? Do you favorite it? Do you put it in your list? Like what do you do? But anyway, whatever you do there, be sure to share it, and you can listen to us on all the different platforms. Of course, Google us. You can find us on your favorite. I always say that your favorite platform, your favorite platform. But nonetheless, hope you guys enjoyed. See you on whatever the next video may be. We'll see you on that one. This is DJ. Adios.